drop. Hold mics like ponytails tight.
You are now listening to the Orange and Blue Crew.
Here are your hosts, King JJ and Anytime Knicks.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of the Orange and Blue Crew. I'm JJ. Now, you might not know this guy. You probably do. Jay couldn't make it tonight, so I'm joined by the one and only host of Knicks Bottom Line, host of all that other great stuff you see on Morning Brew Crew, the one and only Eddie Presti. How you doing today, Eddie?
What's up, JJ? What's going on, my man?
Very excited to see you, and I'm very excited to talk Knicks with probably the first Knicks creator that I saw on Twitter, because I saw this guy the first time I ever met him. I saw him with the he had the Knicks press conference background, and I was like, does this guy work for the Knicks or something? And next thing you know, that's what a little bit of Photoshop can do. But enough about that. Let's just get right into it. Now, over the last couple of days, the Knicks have had a very intriguing stretch, if you will. 2 games we're going to talk about because we're supposed to do this a few days ago, but unfortunately Jay couldn't make it. We can't talk about the Celtics game because the Knicks aren't going to lose that game no matter what because of how great the watch party was. But without further ado, the first thing I want to talk about is this Knicks-Pistons game. What was going through your mind watching this Pistons game?
Listen, it was probably one of the best games of the year if you just watched the game, right? I mean, it was exciting. There was a lot of fun to it, but there was also a lot of frustrations in this game because this is a game where, we should have blew the doors off of this team. We were playing well. Everything was clicking on all cylinders. We out-rebounded them. We got more points in the paint. We got more second chance points. We got more fast break points. So it was a game that really the Knicks should have blew them out. But unfortunately, the Pistons just hung around, and they made a late surge in the fourth quarter. It was by our old friend Quentin Grimes. He put up 14 points in that fourth quarter and actually gave them a lead at one point. And thankfully, Josh Hart saved us in that last possession of the game, and the Knicks went on to win the game. So good game, good game, entertaining game, but should have been an absolute blowout, but it wasn't. It was a little bit of a downer. But again, you're going against a professional team. They're going to show up every night. Even if they lost 30 games in a row, it doesn't matter. You're going to see the best out of these teams, especially when they come to Madison Square Garden.
I agree. When you're playing at MSG, all the bright lights are on you. Now, there were a few highlights in this game. Josh Hart played incredible, as always. What did he have? 21 points, I'm pretty sure he had this game. He
was 23, 8, and 6, I believe.
23, 8, and 6. That's very good numbers for Josh Hart, even if he's playing the lowly Pistons. You also have to factor in that this dude, the best part about Josh Hart, he is a rebound chaser. This dude has some of the most grit I've seen in the NBA in a very long time when I watch him play. This dude's out here fighting for rebounds, dying for loose balls. He's trying to make everything happen underneath the basket.
He's a good glue guy and stuff. I don't know about the contract. I know they overpaid him, but, again, when you see these guys play together, these Villanova guys, for whatever reason, it just clicks. So, I don't like paying this guy $20 million a year. Next year it kicks in, but it is what it is. It's been proven now that JB, Dante, and Josh Hart work. The final piece has to be Mikal Bridges, but I don't think the Nets are ever going to do us any favors.
Why would they do us any favors? We're the Knicks. But
he has to go to another team first, and then maybe we could trade for him.
I agree. But getting back into this Pistons game, the ending of this game, Quentin Grimes dunks it with 35 seconds left. Brunson goes up for the 3, misses. We tried to get an offensive rebound, and we got the rebound. Went up for it again. Dante gives it away to Oscar Thompson. Thompson gets open field tackled by Dante DiVincenzo, who finds Hart wide open under the basket. Knicks take the lead.
It was a contested shot, JJ. It was contested. It was highly contested.
From my angle when I watched it, it looked like he was open at first. It looked like the contest was late, and that's what caused the foul from what I saw.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, and then you had him missing the free throw and getting his own rebound, which sends him right back to the line for 2 more, which, by the way, the Knicks need to work on their free throw shooting. At least some of them do, because You can't be missing too many free throws like that. But then,
well, they've been much better, JJ. Their free throws they were 28th in the league when Mitchell Robinson was starting, and I think they're down to about 14th or 13th now. So they've improved their free throws dramatically since Mitch got hurt, which was in December 7th, December 8th,
something like that. Yeah, in December.
So they have gotten better with the free throws. But yeah, there's going to be games where guys miss free throws. It's part of life in the NBA.
It is part of life. And then you have the ending. Monty Williams goes on to say, where's the New York media? Where's the New York media? At the end of the day, that Pistons thing is a perfect segue into our next topic. The New York Knicks recently sent out a protest to the NBA regarding the ending of the Rockets game. Well, the results are in. Screw you, New York Knicks. You lose the protest. And I think what put this into stone was that Pistons game. That call on Oscar Thompson, I think, sealed it. Yeah, the Knicks cannot win the protest after a game like this, where they also come out and say they missed a call at the end. And that's what has me very concerned about these officials. They cannot just get away with these types of acts. Honest to God.
JJ, there hasn't been a game a protest that's been won since probably the year you were born, which was 2007.
Well,
so,
06.
07. But you get what I'm saying. So that was the last time an NBA team won a protest, was in 2007. So there's got to be like dramatic amounts of evidence to conclude, to make the NBA overturn. Because remember, they got to rent out a venue. You got to get people in the stands. It's kind of crazy. Refunds. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just as simple as a call. So I understand why the NBA did what they did. And listen, we kind of got lucky there with that game against against the Pistons. So I'll just take it with that. Officials, there's good calls. Some nights there's bad calls on other nights. It is what it is. Again, part of life in the NBA.
That is definitely part of life in the NBA. And that's the scary part, is that people are useless at this point. Unfortunately, there was no luck on the Knicks side last night as they fell in the back-to-back to the New Orleans Pelicans. This game just hurt to watch, but it was definitely competitive in the third quarter. The fourth quarter, the Pelicans just turned it up. What were your thoughts on this game?
It was competitive in the first half. The Knicks played a gritty game in the first half. I think they went into that, third quarter only down one. And then, it was a tale of two halves, JJ. In the third quarter, Pelicans just started, coming at the Knicks, and they just started hitting their shots. And then in the fourth quarter, the Pelicans went to they started the entire quarter 12 for 12 from the field, JJ. Also 7 of 7 from the three. And then they pulled all their starters. Until they pulled their starters, that's when they started missing a shot. I think they only missed 2 shots in the fourth quarter, and that was with all the the bottom dwellers at the end of the bench. But look, man, the Knicks were shorthanded last night. They only had 7 guys in the rotation. No Brunson. I mean, a game last night, you would have liked to see more out of Dante. He didn't really get going till the second half. And, all he was doing was hitting threes. Josh Hart really couldn't get going. I would have liked to see more minutes out of Bogdanovich, because he in the first half, he had a good first half. One of his best. He scored 14 points in 14 minutes. So I would have liked to see Tibbs go more to Bogdanovich. But even if they did, the Pelicans were pretty much unstoppable in that second half. So
yeah,
it is what it is, man. When you shoot 100% in the fourth quarter, that's an outlier. That doesn't happen, JJ. So you got to take the steps sometimes. Look, they had Ingram, they had Zion, they had Herb Williams, you name it. That got Ryan from Westchester.
You just named a Knick legend instead of Herb Jones. You named Herb Williams instead of Herb
Williams.
Jones.
My bad. But you
Knick
get
legend. That's a Knick legend right there.
Yeah.
But
they rained threes on us, bro. They rained threes on us, and you had Zion. He had a ton of turnovers, but still, nobody could stop him in the paint. So it is what it is. You take it for what it is. We couldn't hit a shot.
Yeah.
We hit shots. I mean,
that was the story of the Celtics game. Because we couldn't hit a shot in that one either in the second half.
That was a little bit of a different feel than last night. It was similar in the fact that the Celtics had a historic third quarter where, the Pelicans had more of a historic fourth quarter, but both, I get what you're saying. Both had big second halves to close out the game. So it is what it is. They didn't accept Brunson in the game versus Celtics. So, and
I got faith. I got faith in the Knicks. I think that they're going to find their groove, especially when Brunson comes back from that injury. Speaking of which, we might as well dive into the injury report while we're at it. So I'm looking at this right now, the injury report, and I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, I was talking with some people earlier today about this.
What does it say exactly?
For who? Like, who are we looking at? We're looking at Brunson?
Well, obviously, Brunson would be the first off mine, and secondly would be iHeart. I know those are the two that are, listed day to day.
Yeah, so. Brunson is, as of right now, day to day. OG says he's going to begin shooting soon as expected to turn to game action over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Randall said surgery hasn't been ruled. That's okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the Randall update is still the same. Brunson's questionable against Golden State. If he doesn't play against Golden State, just pencil the yell in because I don't think anybody's stopping Steph Curry. The only way we're going to win that game is if Brunson plays. And it's a way the Knicks are going to win a lot of games. But then as I scroll further down on this list, Mitch is not wearing an ankle boot. We saw him on the bench. I'm pretty sure you saw him on the bench last night against the Pelicans. I'm not sure if you saw him or not.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw Julius out there. I saw Brunson out there. I did not check the injury report for the game. I didn't know Brunson was out until the game started because I checked the NBA. I'm like, where the hell is Jalen Brunson at? And like,
it was neck spasms.
Yeah, neck spasms. That sucks.
Well, neck spasms could be from a variety of different things. He could have slept with a fan on. He could have slept by the AC. Sometimes like those things tend to happen with players. Sometimes it is what it is. It's day to day, JJ. It's not something to get too worried about.
He'll be fine. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be fine. The most worrisome guy on this whole injury report is Julius Randle.
Yes.
Because they're talking about, him not getting surgery. OG, he got the surgery, so we're not worried about him. We know OG's going to be back within 2 or 3 weeks. Should be by, maybe by that March 14th game, he could be back. Latest, maybe that March 19th game, something along those lines. We might see our first, OG back. But the Randall thing is crazy because, they're talking about, I think they're just trying to put a lid on it with Randall. I think it's more serious than they're letting on.
I was talking with a few people. A bunch of my football coaches are all Knick fans, and they both had some very interesting opinions regarding the lineup and the injuries. One of them said that he has an inside source saying Randall's getting surgery. I think that's a load of BS. I still don't believe it, and I'll believe it when I see it because I've been fooled by way too many people on New York sports media, such as Andy Martino, Hector Gomez, blah, blah, blah. Those are baseball guys, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of fugazi. Robert Randolph, for example. I love that guy, but his tweets pissed me off. I got to be honest. I love Randolph. He's great singer, but like, please stop tweeting about the NBA. He's wrong about almost anything. But then you get in,
bro. He's a fan. He's a fan of music. It is what it is.
He's a fan that has a great song that I bump on Friday nights.
But getting to the the injury concern with Randall, we don't know. We don't know what's happening with him. I think the Knicks are keeping that, surgery news under tight wraps. I think he does probably need surgery, but he's probably trying to come back. He's a tough dude. He's battle tested. He wants to come back. He wants to see what he could do. And it's one of those things where it's kind of, they got to see how he progresses. The shoulder was dislocated. The question was there tissue damage? If there's tissue damage, he needs surgery. And maybe he could come back this year. We'll see. When he comes back, what do we expect? Is he going to be the Randall that we saw? Probably not. So, listen, I hope he comes back. I hope he comes back because, he's option number 2. But, even if he could come back and be 60, 70%, it's still a threat. He's a guy that could bully ball, play bully ball against other teams, grab some rebounds, get OG back, and, we can make some things happen, pass the ball, move the ball around. It is what it is.
So here's the take that my other coach made, and it's about the lineup. I want to know what you think about this. He says that as of right now, you should move Josh Hart to the bench and put Bojan Bogdanovic at the 3. working him with DiVincenzo and Brunson, which now gives you 3 shooters and 3 very good defenders. What do you think about moving Bojan to the starting lineup?
I think they should have done it last night against the Pelicans. I don't think that's a bad take at all. When this team needs offense right now. All right, we have OG out, we have Randall out, we have Mitch out, we have 3 guys out, Ihart out, Brunson out. You need all the offense.
On Ihart? What's the latest on Ihart?
Ihart is still saying. I think he was just rested off of a back-to-back for the Achilles.
Yeah, so I think
that was a simple. He's going to sit out to rest the Achilles because he's not going to play back-to-backs. I think it's just load management.
Load management. That's a good point. See, that's an actual reason for load management, not the BS that Kyrie Irving would use, because that was ridiculous what he would do in Brooklyn. But that's not our problem because we're not Brooklyn. But you were saying about Bojan in the starting lineup. I think that makes perfect sense.
I don't mind it. I know Tibbs probably doesn't like it because, let's be honest, Bojan's not the best defender in the world. But when OG Anunoby comes back, I think it's critical that the Knicks put Bojan in the starting lineup. And I'll tell you why. OG can make up for some of the deficiencies Bojan has on the defensive end. OG's that good of a defender. So then you have Bojan. I keep saying Bojan. It's Bojan. You have Bogdanovic. You have him to come in. You get as many points out of him as you could get because let's be honest here. Right now, he's replacing Julius Randle. So you got to do what you got to do. Once OG comes back, I think that'll be a perfect mix. You have OG at the 3, Bojan at the 4. OG makes up for some of Bojan's missed defensive, steps and things like that. I think it could work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that because we don't know whether or not Randall's coming back, I think Bojan, you're putting him at the 4, right? You're putting OG at the 3, Bojan at the 4.
Yeah, that's what I'd do. I'd put Bojan at the 4, OG at the 3. And either way, OG's going to defend their best player or at least switch on to their best player, when they do pick and rolls and things like that. So, again, Bojan is a scorer. He's an absolute scorer. He could take it he could score. He's a 3-level scorer. He could take it from the outside, mid-range, and to the cup. So, it's a guy that he averaged 20 points a game with the Detroit Pistons. I could see him doing that here with the Knicks, especially if OG's on the court.
Oh, yeah. And I think OG.
I think it's time they mesh them in.
Yeah. And I think OG makes this team a lot better in terms of 3-and-D guys, in terms of shooting from the perimeter. I think that he would be a better asset than Hart, obviously starting at the 3. But on to my next topic. There's been a lot of talk about Brunson, OG, DiVincenzo, Randall, all that good stuff. But there's a few Knick players that haven't really gotten the credit that they deserve for turning their game around. Who would you say is a Knick player that doesn't get enough credit this year?
Well, I don't know if he gets enough credit. The player I would say right now is the guy that was thrown in with OG as salary cap filler, and that's Precious Achiuwa. This is a guy who came here. He was basically salary cap filler to make the contracts work. The fans killed him when he got here. I always liked Precious Achiuwa. He actually went to high school not too far from where I live here in Florida, in Mount Verde Academy. And he actually, RJ went there, and so did Francisco Lindor. Lindor actually still lives there. And I always liked his game in Toronto. I know the one season he was there, he played some center before Podol went there. And he had a nice little run. And then he came out of the rotation, kind of didn't find his footing with all the tall players and the big guys that Masai Ujiri brought in there. So he kind of fell out of favor with the Raptors. And he came here. And let's be honest, he's been a bit of a savior for the Knicks. I mean, this guy's given us games with double-doubles. He's been scoring paints in a ton of points in the paint.
Let's not even get into his rebounds. His rebounds are off the charts.
He's been phenomenal. He's not only does he get defensive rebounds, but more impressively, he gets offensive rebounds. And he's just been a nice player. He spreads the ball around. He can find his teammates. He's more than just a throw-in, JJ. He's a good player. And I'd like to see the Knicks resign this guy next season. I think he's a nice piece.
Yeah, I love Precious this year. I know my co-host, Jay from East New York, didn't really trust in him this year. he said that he made the one mistake you never make as a New York basketball fan is you listen to the ops. Apparently he listened to the Raptors fans, he told me. So that's his own
fans
fault.
don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about, the Raptors fans. When you look at that day of the RJ trade, they were trashing everybody. They were trashing him. They were trashing Malachi Flynn. Malachi Flynn is a guy I wish the Knicks would have never traded, because Malachi Flynn, we could use him right now. He's actually a real point guard. And again, they had to do it for, to get the picks. I understand that the deal was basically centered around Bojan, but they got Burks too. It is what it is. But we could use Malachi Flynn right now. I wish they still had him, but it is what it is.
Good old evil Dante. Absolutely. I'm that's the one guy. When I found out the Knicks traded him, I was very pissed off because I liked Malachi Flynn a lot, and
Yes,
I thought he could have developed really well with the Knicks. But my player that I want to shout out, he's also a big man, and he is a guy that me and my father and a lot of other people all agree should start over Mitchell Robinson, and that is our boy Isaiah Hartenstein. This guy on the glass for the Knicks has been unbelievable. He's averaging almost 9 rebounds a game. The over on his rebounds is pretty much free. He's playing very good. He's basically playing 26, 27 minutes a game. He's been very solid. He's rotating well with Achua. He's rotating well with Sims. And I'm very impressed with the presence this dude brings, because the Knicks, a lot of people say they're not great without Brunson. Without their bigs, this Knicks team is garbage. This Knicks team is not winning any games without their bigs. And Hartenstein and Precious, these guys are more important than anybody would have thought. A lot of people try to tell me Hartenstein was a pretty average player. I always viewed Isaiah Hartenstein as a plus. I've really liked him for a while, and I thought that he was a good signing when the Knicks got him. Where'd he come from? He came from Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, he came from the Clippers.
Clippers, not Charlotte.
The Clippers refer to him as the one that got away. What's his face over there? The coach, Tyronn Lue, loved iHeart when he was over there. And they didn't want to let him go, but they had no choice because, they were so far over the salary cap. They had to, shed some money. And fortunately for the Knicks, we picked him up. It was a great pickup by Leon Rose. And I'm with you. When iHeart was healthy, this guy was a force. He was a beast. He changed the season around for the Knicks. A lot of people thought the Knicks were dead in the water after Mitch went down. This guy came in and he filled in absolutely beautifully for the Knicks. He was great. And up until he got hurt, he was a beast on the glass. He's blocking shots, making some. This guy is blocking guys like Giannis, man. So He's not afraid of anybody. He's a big presence in the paint. He's been a great player when he's healthy, but now, as you can see, he's not that same guy. But it's an Achilles injury, so we got to be a little, you got to take it easy on him. It is what it is. He's on a minutes restriction. Let him get healthy. He's another guy. Come playoff time, he gets healthy. We get him right. We're good to go, JJ.
I agree. And I think that now, are you on the train that he should start over Mitchell Robinson? I'd like to hear this. You going with iHeart or you going with Mitch?
If he's healthy, I believe he's going to have to start. I think, Mitch is coming off surgery with 2 screws in his ankles. And as a guy who got surgery on his ankle with 2 screws in it,
how bad was it?
It's not easy to just come back on the basketball court and get right back into it. It's a tough surgery. It's a lot of, it's a lot of physical therapy. It's a lot of, working out. But again, Mitchell Robinson's a professional athlete. I think he'll come back, but I think we have to take it easy with the, expectations. Let Mitch come off the bench. Let him get, 10, 15-minute spurts a game. And let's just hope iHeart can get this Achilles right. Because if he gets the Achilles right, we've seen what he could do when he's healthy. He's been phenomenal. And again, then you have a plus of getting Mitch back. And you have your 2 bigs back playing the way they could play. I think they'll be great. I think they'll be a great tandem, JJ.
I agree. And I think that the other thing that needs to be mentioned is that these guys, this Knicks team, could have so many times. They could have so much depth for the playoffs if these big men come back. And I think that that's what's really exciting about this team is that you could be seeing Hartenstein, Achua, Mitch all in one playoff game. Because let's say Mitch is on a minutes restriction because they don't want him to injure himself in the playoffs. Hartenstein could come and he could fill the void. Achua has clearly shown how good he's been.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm very excited about going into this. Now, I may have just accidentally spoiled the next time, but I've seen this stat everywhere. The Knicks record versus 500 teams, I believe it's 24-2, if I'm not mistaken.
Against teams under 500.
Under 500. Over 500, I'm almost positive the record is, I believe, 12-23, something like that. It's not good. And then everybody's trying to tell me that the Knicks are frauds, this and that. We need to come in here and set the record straight. This team is not frauds. This team has been battered to the core since December. They've been basically playing injury basketball for 3 months. And when OG Anunoby was on the basketball court for this team, he established a culture that this Knicks team had. Because you take a look at their record.
They were 15-2.
15-2 when OG Anunoby came back. And you take a look at the teams that they played. The Minnesota Timberwolves in one of the better Knick games I've been to. Denver, you beat with Anunoby. Clippers, Rockets. Yeah, the Heat. That's where it all fell apart because, of course, it just has to happen with the freaking Miami Heat. What a surprise. That's
where the injury happened, too. So
yeah, that's what just kind of sucks. And then you take a look at the other over 500 teams you beat. The Indiana Pacers with a 9-man rotation after coming back down 15 points. You had the, here's where the dry spell happens. You bodied the Sixers twice. Everyone's trying to say, oh, the Sixers you only beat the Sixers because they didn't have Embiid. We beat them by 30 when they had Embiid. What's your point about that? So that's already a BS argument.
The Knicks, JJ, let's keep this simple. If the Knicks are healthy, they're not frauds. They're an excellent team. They're one of the better teams in the NBA. Now, am I going to sit here and say they're championship team, championship contenders? I'll lean towards no. But would I be surprised if they were healthy, if they made the finals? I would not be surprised. But again, that means everybody's got to be back. Everybody's got to be healthy.
Everyone.
All right. If everybody's healthy, the Knicks are not frauds. That's a guarantee. But right now we're not healthy, and that's the problem. So that's why debates like this are even happening.
And that's the sad truth is that people have been wanting to see the Knicks come crashing down for a while now because of how insufferable us Knicks fans have been, especially when we had that 9-game win streak. By the way, the next Knicks win streak better not die at 9 games. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into our final topic of the night. The Knicks are playing their 3rd game in 4 days. They are once again at the Garden, but this time they are taking on the underperforming Golden State Warriors. Now, when I look at this game and I look at this Warriors team is not great. They're 30-27. If you're telling me the New York Knicks have a better record than the Golden State Warriors in the 2020s in this modern day NBA and not the 1990s, I would call you insane. But here we are. The Warriors are underperforming. Steph Curry does not look like himself. Klay Thompson has not been himself. This Warriors team is not good, and I think this Knicks team should take advantage of this type of game. But it's all going to depend on whether or not Jalen Brunson plays, whether or not iHeart plays, because the Warriors don't have very many big men. But even if they do, I'm not relying on Jericho Sims or Precious Achiuwa to be playing 30-plus minutes at center. That's just the way that I see it. I don't trust Jericho Sims anywhere near either Draymond Green or Kuminga. But
I'm not worried about Draymond Green or Kuminga. I'm worried about Steph Curry. All right, I'm worried.
Well, obviously.
I'm worried about Andrew Wiggins. I'm worried about the guys on the perimeter killing us. I'm not worried about Draymond. We could stop him if we need to. If iHeart's back, we'll be fine there. The guy you got to worry about is clearly Steph Curry, who is a guy who relishes the moment in the Garden. That's the guy you got to worry about. And the second guy, the most important guy you got to worry about is Jalen Brunson. If Jalen Brunson's back, then it's a different story. It's a totally different game. But if he's not back, JJ, we're in trouble.
We are in trouble. I agree, because I think that in order to counter Steph Curry's three-point assault, you have to respond with your own. And I'm sorry, I love Dante DiVincenzo, but I don't trust him going toe-to-toe with Steph Curry. However,
no, I mean, listen, Dante's he's a nice player. Dante's a nice player. He's been a perfect addition here. He's fit in beautifully with this team as a two-guard. But, Dante DiVincenzo, he's not a star player. He's not a superstar player. He's a very, very good starter. He plays his role absolutely perfectly. But he's a guy that plays a role off of guys like Jalen Brunson, off of Julius Randle, off of OG Anunoby, off of Isaiah Hartenstein. He plays a role in this Knicks offense, and he plays it to perfection, but it can only be played with perfection when these guys are healthy and when they're in this lineup.
Correct. And the other thing that I do want to
mention,
you
can't expect him to be a number one. You can't do that. It's unfair to him.
Correct.
Great player, great addition, but let's be perfectly honest. He's not a number one, but he's an excellent, excellent role player, JJ.
I agree 100%. And the other thing I'm going to say is this. If, God forbid, he does go toe-to-toe with Steph Curry, you can hang number 0 up in the rafters. Because Steph Curry loves playing in the Garden because it was his dream. We were one pick away from drafting.
I remember.
One pick.
I remember. Donnie Walsh tried, JJ. He tried. He tried as hard as he could, but Chris Duhon decided to score too many points in the last game of the season that year for, I believe it was Mike D'Antoni was coaching the Knicks.
Yeah, 09. Or yeah. No, 09.
So that was a win that tanked their chances. So a meaningless April win, JJ, and we got stuck with who was
Jordan
that?
Hill.
Jordan Hill. That absolute bum. So
he was horrible. But
we traded him for Tracy McGrady, which then became cap space for LeBron, who we never got.
We're so close to all the superstars until we got Jalen Brunson, because he is.
We finally got one, though, JJ.
We got one.
We finally got somebody, and he came cheap, and he wanted to be here. So, shout out to Leon Rose for getting Jalen Brunson.
Legend, absolute legend of the game.
He's been a top 15 player. He's played better each season as a Knick. Let's hope JB comes back tomorrow night, nice and healthy. Him and iHeart. And maybe we could stick it to Golden State tomorrow.
I agree. Now, let's leave it off with a prediction, because I'm going to say 106-101. Give me the Knicks. I'm picking the Knicks again. I think that's going to be low scoring than people think it will, because when Curry comes out, that Warriors offense just goes right down the drain, because the three-pointers aren't there. If Wiggins is covered, I don't see him doing much of anything. And I think this is going to be one of those gritty games, because nothing ever comes easy for the New York Knicks.
So I'm going to say the Knicks are going to take an L tomorrow. I'm going to say 115, 108. This is me saying that Brunson and iHeart probably won't be back. So that's why I'll say they're probably going to take the L. If they're back, I think it might be close. I'm still going to give the edge to Golden State, though.
It's fair. And hopefully they're back soon. Listen, if they don't come back for that game, they better come back for the Cavs game on Sunday. And we will get into that on our next episode, which is probably coming out Saturday night. Jay will be back. But, that is pretty much our predictions for this Warriors game. I would just like to give a big shout-out to my boy Eddie Presti coming on such short notice, filling in for my boy Anytime Knicks. He will be back this weekend, so I'm very happy about that. And,
shout out to Jay from the East.
Jay from the East, New York. Now, Eddie, our boy Eddie here has a big trial he has to get to. So that's going to wrap it up for us here on the Orange and Blue Crew. With that being said, I'm JJ Seggs. He's Eddie Presti. You know him. You now love him. Signing off. Have a good night, everybody. And let's go Knicks.